Right now in the 411, the Houston area and most of Texas feeling an Arctic cold front. Temperatures have been below freezing for nearly 24 hours.
Oh, and take a look. It is so cold. The fountain at Bob Smith Park in downtown Houston is partially frozen. Actually, I shot some of that video this morning. That was at about 10 a.m. My hands still haven't thawed out.
No.
I could say it's as cold as it looks, but that would be a lie. It's colder.
You should have stayed in the car when you took those.
I'm such a rookie. All right. Thanks for joining us on the 411. I'm Sharon Min Chow in for Reka Mudaraj.
And I'm Ron Trevino. A hard freeze warning remains in effect for all of Southeast Texas through tomorrow morning. We've got live team coverage helping you navigate this Arctic blast. Let's start with our weather team, Kim Castro, David Paul. What's the latest, Kim?
Yeah, we have been trying to fight the good fight to get above freezing for today, but we are not doing that at Bush. Current temperature right now, 31 degrees. Now we're starting to cool off. We'll lose that sunshine, and you know the drill. Things are going to get a whole lot cooler as we head into tonight yet again. A couple spots did manage to barely get above freezing right now. 33 degrees for Hobby. Sugar Land sitting at 33 as well. The island 34, but that breeze is staying nice and sturdy. Right around 20 miles an hour sustained winds over at Bush right now. Sugar Land 15. Those gusts up and over 30 miles an hour for Hobby for the island. And so you know the deal. It does feel colder than the actual air temperature reads. Wind chill right now in the teens for several spots. Bush feeling like 19. Same deal for Brenham. Low 20s for Pearland, for Hobby, and for the island. Like you said, that hard freeze warning through tomorrow, and that's just not here locally, but Dave, it's looking like it is a chilly holiday for us across the board.
Oh, Kim, it's been statewide. Here are the way temperatures have moved over the past 12 hours. Now, at 4 a.m. this morning, Houston Bush at Continental Airport stood at 17, Dallas was at 11, and Amarillo was at 3. Then we bottomed out as we headed into the wee morning hours towards sunrise. That's Houston Bush Intercontinental hitting 15 degrees for a morning low. That's 3 degrees colder than we had forecast, and only 2 degrees warmer than the low we set back in February of 2021. So very cold overnight. Dallas ended up with a low of 11 degrees. Since then, we have warmed up, but we have not gotten above freezing. We topped out at 32 at Bush, right at the freezing mark, stayed at freezing, and now we're beginning to cool off back down to 31 degrees currently. Wind chills, you mentioned that. It feels like 19 at Bush. Dallas feels like 12. That north wind continues to be a factor, and it just blows that little layer of heat right off of you as the wind blows, and that makes it feel colder than the actual air temperature. We'll show you how cold we're going to go tonight. We'll look ahead to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day when we see you again in a few minutes.
All right, thank you so much, Dave. The city of Houston is extending and consolidating services at some of its warming centers. Acres Home and the George R. Brown Convention Center will stay open until 9 a.m. on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Fondy and Moody Community Centers will close at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Anyone remaining at Fondy and Moody at 9 a.m. tomorrow will be taken by Metro to the George R. Brown Convention Center, where they will stay until Sunday.
And happening right now, a boil water notice is in effect in the Katy area.
It's all because of a drop in water pressure. Adam Bennett is live in Katy. Adam, do officials have any idea when they might lift this notice?
Well, Ron, getting the all clear from the state usually takes between 24 to 48 hours. At least that's according to a lawyer for one of the districts that issued this boil water notice today. But he adds that the freezing conditions seen all around Texas and impacting other water districts may impact that timeline here. So we put that caveat in there. Now, the Fulshire Municipal Utility District 3A, they blame these extremely cold temperatures for the boil water notice that they issued. They point out that they buy their water from the water plant at the municipal utility district next door. That's the Willow Creek Farms. That community water system serves more than 3,000 customers, and they also issued their own boil water notice around 8:30 this morning.
It was actually a news alert. We saw it on our phone and then again on Facebook through the neighborhood page.
And what'd you think when you saw that?
I was like, dang it, we forgot to fill the bathtub. So we're pulling out all the water and stuff from the garage that we had set aside for, the hurricanes that never happened this year.
Thank you. And a lawyer reaching out on behalf of the municipal utility district told me that an electrical issue with a booster pump at their water plant is what caused a break in the pump's shaft, and then that led to the drop in water pressure. He also told me that the district is still working to determine the cause of that initial electrical issue. Now, the attorney also told me that the MUD's operator has reestablished normal water pressure and that they've coordinated with the TCEQ, the state environmental agency, to start testing those samples, which is what's needed to lift that boil water notice. Again, state officials tell me that process typically takes about 24 hours. Ron?
All right, thank you so much, Adam Bennett. The Flamingo Lakes area in Montgomery County is also under a boil water notice. People living in that area should boil their water before drinking. Officials there say the pressure tank froze early this morning and was restored at around 8:30.
So how is the power grid holding up? Well, let's take a look at ERCOT's main page where it has all of its different dashboards, and this is the supply and the demand. There was a situation around 8 a.m. that got a lot of attention. That blue demand line on the bottom here got kind of narrow next to the purple supply line. So right about in here in that area, it was hovering at about 4,000 megawatt buffer between the two. At 3,000 megawatts, when that buffer is that low, that's when alerts start sounding. So what happened? I asked our energy expert.
The coal-fired power plants are 50 years old. The natural gas-fired plants average 30 years in age, and so they are at the end of their operational lives. These could break, and again, that's what happened this morning. We had some plants go offline. That was unexpected. That's why we had the big price hike in the wholesale market.
So when those two lines got close together, when that buffer got narrow, here is a look at the corresponding price spike. Energy prices skyrocketed 50 times over just a few hours this morning. Translation, wholesale prices hit $3.70 versus the typical 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, the good news, of course, is that that price spike went down just as quickly. But when your power bill comes next month, expect an increase, because the bottom line is you and I will pay for this right here. So what went right this time, and what is problematic in this whole equation? I'll have that at 5 and 6 o'clock.
Well, a lot of people in the Houston area lost power overnight, and in some cases it took hours for power to be restored. Gerald Harris is live in Northeast Houston, where one neighborhood had no power overnight and throughout much of the day. Gerald.
Yeah, neighbors here tell me that their neighbors just right across the street had power, but on this side of the street, they did not have power for more than 16 hours. CenterPoint crews are fully staffed and working to restore power to those without it. But it was a tough set of circumstances for folks living in the Songwood neighborhood on the east side of Houston. Power for people living here went out yesterday between 6 and 7 p.m. And throughout the deep freeze, families had to bundle up with blankets, jackets, even pets, and wait.
It's sunny, it's nice, it's cold, but that's about it. And yet here we are without power.
But the power being out didn't last much longer. As our cameras were recording,
The light is on.
their power was restored after many hours in the cold.
Thank goodness. Hopefully it stays on. Hopefully.
Now, CenterPoint is confirming that Houston's electric grid system is experiencing isolated outages as a result of the strong wind caused by the Arctic front that came through our area. This morning, there were almost 20,000 CenterPoint customers without power, but right now that number is closer to 6,000. In Houston, Gerald Harris, KHOU 11 News.
With cold weather, you want to make sure to check your tires, and that's exactly what lots of drivers are doing. We spotted this long line of cars checking tire pressure at a Discount Tire on Westheimer. Head over to KHOU.com for cold weather tips for your car and more. And much of the country is dealing with this winter weather. In some places, winter storms are creating a headache for holiday travel. Thousands of flights have been canceled from California to New York. Snow, wind, and ice created a mess at Chicago O'Hare Airport. More than 560 flights were canceled just yesterday. And even after the snow and rain stop, the extreme cold slows down airport operations. So experts say to expect cancellations and delays to stretch into, the weekend.